Okay, everybody, this is Elaine Murakami. We're going to start right now. So most of you know who I am. I'm with the Federal Highway Office of Planning, and I'm usually in Seattle, but today I'm in Washington, D.C. And one of the great things about my job is that I don't actually have to know anything. I just have to know people who know things. And so today we have uh, two people from MPOs, and most of you know that I did used to work at an MPO, and I love MPOs. So we have Mara Kaminowitz from the Baltimore Metropolitan Council, and we also have Eric Kramer from the Pima Association of Governments. And so they are going to tell you about deep linking, which is a way to access data from the Census Bureau without going through our friendly AFF2 data user interface. So first of all, if most of you have probably already been to a Federal Highway webinar and are familiar with this Adobe Connect software. There's the chat pod where you can type in questions. There's a file download pod, and when you click on these downloads, and I will explain what some of the files are, sometimes you will get a screen that is below this screen where it will ask you where you want to save the file on your computer. And sometimes you'll have a little blinking IE icon on the bottom of your screen, and then after you've done the save, you will come back to this screen. All right, I am recording the session today, and so if there's people that could not come today but are interested in it, we will post the web link to the recording to the CTPP listserv. Okay, and if everyone could take just a couple seconds to answer the questions in the poll pods. There's 3 poll questions, and because I ran out of space, you do have to scroll through the questions to see all the possible answers. Everyone just take a minute to do that. Ed, since you are a host, does that mean you can control the poll pods as well as me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I think everybody should be done. So Ed, you can save, you can close them or something.
Closing them just stops the voting and posts all the numbers, and we're broadcasting the results anyway so folks can see them.
Okay, so it looks like we have a predominance of MPOs and some DOTs and a lot of people who are other. So obviously my survey question writing wasn't very good if I have 6 people who chose other.
Yeah, I didn't know where to put myself as a Fed.
Oh yeah, federal. Okay, well that's you and me, but I didn't vote. Okay, and the kinds of jobs people are doing, census data processing, a lot, travel demand forecasting, a lot, and responding to public queries, a lot, and some survey data processing. And people voted for how familiar they are with AFF2 and kind of around in the middle. And some experts, but that we have Eric and Mara, so I'm sure they voted on 5. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for responding. Okay, our first presentation is going to be from Mara Kaminowitz. She's been at the Baltimore Metropolitan Council for about 2.5 years and previously did work in GIS at the Family League of Baltimore City, and then before that at an environmental consulting firm. She has a master's degree in geography from the University of Connecticut, And then we have Eric Kramer from TAG, where he started in 2010. And prior to that, he was the research coordinator at the University of Florida in urban and regional planning.
That's correct.
And he has a master's degree in urban planning from the University of Florida, and he has a PhD in anthropology from the University of Chicago. And I asked Eric to explain what was the path from anthropology to an MPO. So Eric, why don't you tell us?
Well, the path was I was working as a postdoc and got involved with GIS in my research, and very interested in GIS. So a good center for GIS at the University of Florida. So I after my postdoc, I got involved with that and entered the program there in planning.
Okay,
so
and
that's sort of the short version.
Okay, and Mara apparently also has a background in anthropology. And what was your path from anthropology to the MPO?
Well, I was working in archaeology, and I decided to go into geographic information systems, largely because I got tired of digging holes in swamps, and with the intention to apply it towards archaeology or other things. And I sort of gradually ended up veering towards transportation and transportation planning about 4 years ago, and it's been a very well-graded, gentle uphill highway ever since.
Okay, all right. So now we are going to have Mara's presentation, and I'm going to make her PowerPoint larger. And you do each have control so that if you want to use full screen, you can click on the full screen button on the upper right-hand side of the screen. Okay, Mara, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks. Just let me get this set up.
Okay, and for Mara's presentation, we have both the PPTX file and a PDF version of her presentation in the file share pod.
Okay, thanks. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today, and especially for Elaine for pulling all of this together. So let's get started. What is deep linking? Deep linking is the secret ninja backway into American FactFinder 2. Basically, every table has a persistent web address, also called a URL. The web address has a uniform structure. You can alter the web address to access the table you want, the same as if it were a line of computer code. This saves a lot of time, especially if you need many tables that have the same geography, such as all tracts in accounting. There is a lot you can do with deep linking, including things like inline text searches. I'm not going to go over everything today, but here's the link to the Census's official deep link guide. I recommend downloading it because sometimes it moves. Aside from having information on more types of links than I'm going to discuss, this guide has tables of parameters that you are going to need in order to form your links. Before we get started, when using deep links, it helps to know what table number you want in advance. You can find this by searching around on American FactFinder, but you can also consult the technical documentation for each data set. Here are links to table lists for some of the more commonly used data sets. If you're using other products, I recommend that you get the table list first so you'll have an easy way to find what table you need. What I usually do in order to get the table number is to pull up the table list for that data set and just run a text search on words like income or poverty and then skim through the table names until I find what I need. I have links here for table lists and also to table shells. The table lists usually just give the name of the table. Table shells give the table plus all of its headers so you can find exactly what you want. Now, before I go into any detail, here is the quick way to get started with deep links. If you watch the next few slides, you should have all the information you need to get started, though I do hope you'll stay for the rest of the presentation. This method works best if you need many tables for the same geography, like all tracts in a state. First, you need to get the permanent web address, also known as a persistent URL. In American FactFinder, navigate to the table of your choice the regular way. In this example, I'm using the total population from the 2010 decennial census for all tracts in Maryland. Now you need to create a bookmark. It is very important that you start with the bookmark function on the census website and not your bookmark or favorites button on your web browser. If you try to favorite the link directly through your browser, you won't get the correct web address. In other words, push this button here. When you click on the Create Bookmark button, this will pull up your browser's bookmark window. You can name the link if you want, or just hit OK. You've now created a permanent bookmark that you can use to access the table in American FactFinder at any time. To view the URL for that bookmark, you need to look at its properties in your web browser's bookmarks or favorites window. How to do this is going to vary depending on your web browser. The screenshot here shows Firefox. The web address shown in the location field is the persistent URL for that table. This is the deep link. You can use this link to get to this and other tables in American FactFinder. Using the steps I just described, here is the deep link URL for the total population from the 2010 decennial census for all tracts in Maryland. The part that I highlighted in red is the table number from the 2010 census. You can replace this with any other table number from the 2010 census, and you will get a link in AFF2 directly to that table for all tracts in Maryland. For example, if you replace the P1 with P5, you get the table for Latino origin by race for all tracts in Maryland. You can replace it with housing tables or tables with special race codes. You cannot pull up a demographic profile using this method. That is a different data set and therefore has a different URL, and we'll be going into details of how to pull up different types of products next. So what does this link mean? There are several standard elements that you can use to access tables. This link is for the population for the US for the 2010 census. The first part is the standard text that begins any web address in AFF2. The number 1.0 in blue is the version for the bookmark application. That may change in the future, but for now just include it with the URL. The EN bit in orange is the language flag, but I think Spanish only works for Puerto Rico tables. The next two parts are the program and data set. DEC is for decennial census, ACS is for American Community Survey. There are others. You can get a full list in the census's deep link guide I mentioned at the start of the presentation. The same goes for the data set. Each data set has a different name. The one in this example is for the 2010 census summary file 1. Each ACS product, like 3-year or 5-year, have different flags. So you're definitely going to need to consult the guide for this. I wouldn't try to guess them. They're not always obvious. The P1, as I discussed before, is your table number. Finally, at the very end is your geography information. This is where you specify the location, summary level, and other information related to where in the US you want to get data on. I am going to go into more detail on this in the next slide. The geography tag at the end of the URL gives you the geography type and location that you want to see in your data table. The first part is the summary level. That's your county, place, tract, etc. You can find a list of these in the deep linking guide as well as in any census technical documentation. This will define the type of geography you want to look at. The next two numbers in blue are the geographic variant. As far as I can tell, this is only used for congressional years, like you put in 11 there if you're looking for data from the 111th Congress. Most of the time, this will be 00. The next two numbers in red are the geographic component. These are special qualifiers such as urban, in an MSA, or in specific rural populations, just to name a few. You can find a comprehensive list in the technical documentation for whatever data set you are working in. Again, though, most of the time this is going to be 00. The US is just part of the code. I thought it distinguished between the 50 states and other entities like Puerto Rico or the Marianas Islands, but that's not always the case. The U.S. code is there for any of the main census and ACS files, but it changes if you have a data product specific to the island territories. And last but not least, we have the FIPS code. This is the geographic ID you see when you look at a database or GIS version of the census tables. This gives the actual location of where you want to see data. Its length will depend on what geography you're looking at, and in general, the smaller the area you want, the longer it will be. For example, here we have our 2010 total population again. The first link shows the default, the U.S. population. If you want to get the same table for the state of Maryland, you need to change the summary level to 040 for state and add the state FIPS code, which in this case is 24. To get a county within Maryland, again you change the summary level to 050 for county and append the county FIPS code to the state. You can continue this way to link to any census geography you want. As you saw in the last example, I had to change the summary level code each time to match the FIPS code. Syntax is important when forming these links. Your summary level and FIPS code need to match. Your data product, year, and table number need to match. When you create a deep link, you are making a very specific data request. And if you don't ask for exactly the right thing, you'll just get an error. Most of the time, you aren't going to want to request data for a single block. You probably need a nested geography, such as all counties in your state or all tracts in a county. You need to start with a link like the one we've discussed that drills down to the parent geography you want. In this example, again, it's the state of Maryland. To get a geography nested within the state, add a period and the summary level to the end. Make sure to include zeros at the end so that it's 5 digits long. So the summary level in red is the geographic unit you want, such as tracts or places, and the FIPS code in blue is the location you want data from. So for example, the link here gives you all the tracts within Maryland. If I change the 14000 at the end to 16000, instead of tracts, I'd get all the places within Maryland for that same table. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to get more than one geography in the same link. You can append more than one location to a link by adding a pipe between data requests. The pipe is that little vertical line on your keyboard, usually above the backslash. There are some good examples of this in the official deep linking guide. To append locations, you just have to add a pipe between geography code bits. These individual geography requests do not have to be related as long as each individual geography code is formed correctly, and of course provided that a table exists for that geography. For example, the link here is the most recent 5-year ACS for household size by vehicles available. This link will get you all tracts in the state of Maryland, plus the same data for the Northwest Arctic Borough in Alaska and all counties in California. Now, that's a somewhat random example, but the append tool can be really useful if you have a specific grouping like the counties in an MPO, and it can also be used if you have dispersed locations that you need the same table for, like getting data for a list of trip origins. This is really just the beginning. There's a lot more you can do. Check out the official deep link guide for more information on ways to use the links. And I've also included a few links to applications that use deep links as part of the extraction tools. And that's it. I'm going to hand it back to Elaine.
Okay, so thank you, Mara. I want to see if anybody has a question right now. I also want to point out that there is a file called deeplinksca.ng.txt. And this is a file that Nancy Gemignani from the California State Data Center shared with me. And they distributed this. And it's a way that you can just kind of copy and cut and paste and put it in your browser and then just change, you know, a couple of items for like a different table number or a different state or a different geography, and then they just, you know, have this available and then cut it and paste it, put it into your web browser. Okay, so Shimon has a question and wants to know, can you get to block group data?
Yes. The answer is yes. Let me see if I can click back a whole lot few. There is an example of a block group in here somewhere. Here we go. If you follow here at under the geography table, you can get to block groups.
Okay, so in other words, in the regular AFF2, they don't let you get to block group data, and you have to go to the, what's it called? Leong, help me.
Data ferret.
Data ferret to get to block group data. So this is another way of accessing the block group data. Okay, Sally's question. I understand how to get data for all tracts, but how do you get, can I get specific tracts in different counties? So would you use that long vertical line to do that, Mara?
Yeah, you would have to get to, you would use the append tool to basically, take the FIPS codes and enter them. There's probably a point in time at which if your query is complex enough, it's probably, and you're selecting individual tracts, you might want to just do it through the regular web interface. But yeah, if you have a very specific list of tracts, you should be able to just put each tract code, through these pipe and alter the tract and the county numbers, and that should do it.
Okay, I think people are busy typing into the chat pod. You can also choose to hit *6 if you want to ask your question on the phone.
Can I just make a quick addendum, Elaine?
Go ahead.
The first person that asked about the being able to get block groups that aren't available, this is only going to query information that's also available through the main interface of American FactFinder. So if you could otherwise reach block groups or blocks, which you can now for some of the Census 2010 data, you'll be able to reach it. But if it's a situation like with the American Community Survey 5-year, where they've deliberately held the block groups off of American FactFinder, I don't think you're going to be able to get it through the deep link.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So you still have to go through Data Ferret if you want the 5-year ACS block group level data. Okay, can we get CTPP 1990 through this? The answer is no. AASHTO and myself, Federal Highway, have started meeting with the Data Web and Data Ferret staff at the Census Bureau, and we are going to talk to them about putting the new CTPP that we should get next year into Data Web and Data Ferret, but that doesn't mean it will be available through the deep linking. And we're going to start with the current data rather than the historic data. Okay, let's see, what else? All right. Mara's not leaving, but we're going to move over to Eric if I can figure out how to do this. I'm going to bring this over.
Oh.
Oh, darn.
Oops.
Huh. Oh, why isn't my non-motorized screen coming up? Bad. What happened?
Is Eric going to share his screen?
Yes, he
Yes,
is.
I'm going to share screen. Yeah.
Okay. And Eric, you're listed as a presenter, so go up to pods at the top.
Go up to what?
The word pods across the top. Can you see it? Banner at the top. Here, what we're going to do is elevate you to a host.
Okay.
So your screen is going to change a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
See the word pods up there?
Pods?
Yeah, it's a drop-down box. Click on that and then share,
Okay.
and then add new share.
So, okay, add new share, right?
And then you're going to see
Okay.
share my screen,
Sure.
and that's a drop-down.
Okay, yeah, I just screwed
Jeremy.
up. I just screwed up the
That's
screen.
okay. So Eric, we're now seeing what you're seeing on your screen.
Okay.
It's
Is the
10:20.
clock there?
It's 10:26 where you're at.
Okay, great. All right, so I want to talk about the tool, the deep linking database tool. The idea for this tool came about because I was looking for sort of a quick and painless way of assembling the deep links so that I would have all the codes and everything at my fingertips. I wouldn't have to go looking around. If you go back and, well, I recommend, first of all, that you download the latest version that's on the webinar chat room. It's the least buggy of them. I'm sure there's still some bugs there, but I've done my best to minimize them. So the focus of this was really initially the decennial census and American Community Survey, the data that was available on American FactFinder. But there are really a lot more potentially, a lot more data sets that you could add to this, and it's really a work in progress. And I invite anybody who is, somewhat conversant in VBA programming or with Access databases to go ahead and make other versions of this that have increased the functionality and such. Very much a work in progress. The work of preparing this involved creating a set of database lookup tables that would contain the elements of the codes or the sort of the lexicon for the deep linking that would link to the census programs, data sets, tables, and geography. Also, there would be the headers or the references to the names of the tables, and also classifications. I created an additional way to help filter the tables. Those would be part of this application drop-down menu. So you wouldn't necessarily have to know the name of the table, just the name of the header. And then secondly, I had to create this form and develop the VBA code in Access to, first of all, populate the drop-down menus, and then assemble the deep links based on those menu selections. So there's a functionality when you hit a button, it assembles those. There's a lot more that can be done with this, and it's a kind of a basic functionality at this point. It doesn't have all the geographic summary levels and other things that would require a more complex logic to filter the tables, and also whether they work with a particular data set or not. Some of the things that Mara was talking about. So before we get into the application, I wanted to go into the database. So I'm going to click on the Access database here. It brings it up. On the left side, you see a set of tabs, and each of these tabs contains one or more tables. The first one is the dataset table, and that's really the master table for this, and that contains the codes for the census programs, the aliases that we use in the drop-down box, the dataset code, as well as the dataset alias that's used in the menu. And you see here, I put in all the different data sets. Each line here corresponds to a specific data set in a program. Some of them are not available for the program right now. I haven't programmed them, such as the business patterns or commodity flow survey, but they're in this table in case someone wants to eventually develop those. For right now, we have American Community Survey and the Decennial Census, various data sets there. Second level here is the individual program tables. They're named according to their codes so ACS here. Each record here has the data set alias, and the particular table that we want, and along with the alias for that table. In addition, I've added a category that helps us narrow down the options. So, eventually, with new releases of ACS or the Decennial Census, we'll have to add records to this to reference those new tables that are coming out. That's just a necessary part of this database. With every release, you have to add additional tables, and that's not so hard. You can use the Excel table shells that Mara talked about, and just import those in here as long as you have the proper, you maintain the template here, the proper fields and such.
Okay, Eric.
Yes.
While we're here, why don't you go into, let's say, pick an ACS 3-year table.
Yeah. I just wanted to go over the basic structure because, it's not going to be that once we have new tables, I wanted to have people understand how this works, first of all, and how in the future they can modify it. Same applies. All these tables have the same template structure, same structure to them. So it's just a matter of understanding that each one, you have a program, you have a data set code, you have a data set alias, table code, and table alias. Right. And the other ones that haven't prepared, they're empty because they're waiting for the tables that are there. Okay, so, and the final thing I wanted to talk about was the geography table. The summary level, again, has the codes for the summary level. Right now, we're just using the nation, state, county, census tract, and place. It would involve some additional programming to accommodate all the other codes here. Then for the county, we have the state and the county in this. So this is all the states in the United States, plus in the 50 states, plus the counties. Then place, this is where some users will have to, if they want to have places in the menu for their area, they can add them. I just have the places for Arizona here. Again, I didn't have the time to do this for all 50 states and that's an incredible amount of work there. But if you're interested in your own area and you want the places, you can add them. Just keep in mind that you need to follow the structure for this table. Don't worry about the county code. That's places often overlap or cross county boundaries, but in this case, I created that for Pima County. Most places in Pima County fall within the county boundaries. Okay, so moving on to the form itself, you can click on this form link here, and that will bring up the form where we can do some queries. Okay, so you can start with the first drop-down menu. let's choose the decennial census. Choosing that will populate some of the other menus here related to that program. So for the decennial census, we have all the available data sets. I'm going to select summary file 1. Now, that will bring up all the tables in that data set in the menu here. You can access them like this, or you could also narrow using a category. So let's say we're interested in median age by sex, that table P13. Now we want to add the geographic components. Say we start one at a national level. We can just leave it at that and then click on the Add Components button, which will assemble the table link. That will show up in the text box here. Now, you can copy, just click on the Copy Link button, and that will copy the link into memory. And then, unfortunately, I tried to get it so that you could click on a hyperlink. It would give you a hyperlink, and it would send you to directly to the table. But for some reason, Access tends to mess up that hyperlink. So what you have to do is go to the actual website and then paste your link there. That will take you to the table. Okay, so some of the other buttons here, if you want to reset the link, just erase this link here. As long as the menu boxes are populated, it will be able to, in the correct way, you'll be able to run a query. You can also reset the selections. If you click this button, it will zero out everything here. Let's say you want a whole nother data set or program. You could also just change, if you want a different table, you can also just change the menu item here. You can also reset the geography. So let's reset this link, and then say we're interested in California. For this median age by sex, you can again select California. Now we can also get the county and start doing some of these multiple geography queries. So if we want the nation, if we want California, that will give you an additional geography link there. If you want, say, a county, Santa Barbara County, let's say you want all tracts in that county. We'll add the tracts. Copy the link, go back to FactFinder. Will give you United States, California, Santa Barbara County, then all the different census tracts. And from there you can download or whatever you want to do. Again, you can also get individual census tracts. I don't know if this tract exists. So, and if you want multiple tracts, you can add a comma here between the tracts. That other tract may not exist. But you enter the 6-digit FIPS code there. So that's about it. It's a pretty simple form that just assembles the deep link based on the menu selections and using the lookup tables.
Okay, cool, Eric. So let's first go back to where you were showing the table lists.
Sure.
Because if I were here, I think this is really convenient. Let's go to ACS, not Decennial. You know, and then pick a 3-year tab.
Like a record, you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Elaine?
Sorry, I'm coughing. Okay, so let's go get one of my favorite tables. It's the table that has household size and number of vehicles.
Okay, so we'll go back to the survey. 3-year. Okay, so let's see. What was the table again?
It's household size by number of vehicles.
Probably I didn't categorize it the proper way.
Okay, so what you're saying is you can do this directly in the your query box rather than going to look at the other table, the table list.
Right. The menu is just grabbing those aliases from the table, from the lookup table, putting them in the menu box.
Eric, this is Ed. Now, your menu list, you can make those tables names whatever you want them to be, can't you?
Exactly, yeah. Right here, I didn't put the actual table name in parentheses next to it, but that could easily be changed. Just go in and modify the alias for that table.
I mean, because when I teach our CTPP class, that's some of the stuff people stumble over is you have to learn census speak to find tables.
Yeah.
I know exactly what Elaine's going after, household size. In transportation, that's what we call it.
It is a B08 table, but I know you don't have the table number.
So that's the other side of it. Some of us don't learn census speak, but we learn our table numbers.
So we could filter this if we want to filter.
Oh, I see. The table numbers are here.
Yeah. So let's say we're filtering this table here, so we're only showing the 3-year data. And then you could, in theory,
you can just
look it
scroll
up
down.
Here. What's the number of the table?
It's a B08 because the B08s are the journey to work tables.
B08, okay. So means of transportation.
Toward the end.
Okay. Household type, B09, okay, B08. It's always possible I didn't put it in here, but I think I got most of it.
Oh, there it is.
Size
Oh,
by
it's
number
going to
of
be
words
above there. I think it's
Yeah.
above that one.
by vehicles available.
Yeah, there it is. Yay, we found it.
Okay, household size by vehicles available. So, you know, let's see, wait, let's go back and see how I categorize, first of all. Their households, yeah.
So the point of this is Eric has been so kind as to share all of this, and you can take it and edit it into something that might make more sense to you, or if you like the way Eric's done it, you can use it the way Eric's designed it.
Exactly.
Because he's made this very nice tool, and it might be perfectly useful the way it is already, and it's just a way to build the deep link without having to learn all of this that Mara explained. So you can, by having Mara's explanation at the beginning, you can see how when it's building the link, you can see exactly that relationship with the database name, the table number, the summary level, and the geography.
And that's the AFF2 deep linking distribute V2 file. That's zipped? Okay.
That's right. And don't forget that you can also manually modify these links in the text box and then just copy them into memory and then paste them as you like if you want to do it that way as well.
Have you tried this? Well, this is probably not a fair question because you built it in Access 2007. Have you tried it in 2010?
Not yet. I don't have that. I don't have
Okay.
Okay, Leong, what did you try it in?
I tried in 2010, I guess, the new Excel.
And it worked?
Yes,
Good.
not 2000.
Another thing that people should be aware of is if you open this for the first time, Access is going to ask you to enable the macros. It won't let you do it unless you have those enabled. It's part of the security.
Okay, that's really cool. You know, I really didn't understand what deep linking was about until I heard somebody from the Washington State Employment Security Department show how he had used the deep link references and then built it into one of the websites that they use. And I don't know if people are at the MPOs are doing that. Maybe if you are, you probably didn't come to this webinar because you're already beyond that stage.
Elaine, can we have people who may have done some deep linking *6 and tell us about their experiences? If there's anybody out there that's gone down this path?
Yeah, or *6 if you have another question for Eric or Mara.
And, you know, while we wait, Mara made it sound so easy, I wanted to break out of her presentation and go try it. I can't really wait because, Mara, you did an excellent job. You made it sound too easy, though. I'm sure there's some pitfalls.
It's actually pretty easy once you decode the language. It's fairly simple, but feel free to email me if you've got any questions.
Same here
Okay.
as far as the program.
Well, okay, either they did a really great job explaining it all, that everyone has figured it all out, and they're going off to the races to build their own applications using the deep links, or else everyone's confused, and I didn't make a poll pod to ask people. Okay, or maybe I should just open all the lines, and maybe that'll be easier for people to ask a question. I'm going to open all the lines.
All participants are now in interactive talk mode.
Okay, does anybody have a question?
Hello, Lane. This is Manny Trillo with Martin, Kansas City. Just a quick question: is Eric going to? How is this going to be made available if we're interested in using it?
It's in the file share pod. Just download it.
Yeah, it's the file that's listed AFF2 underscore deep linking underscore
shortcut.
Is there would there be a permanent place it could be stored on the,
You can actually tailor it. Like
on one of your websites, Elaine?
In one, no.
Or Ed?
Okay, so here's my deal. I work for Federal Highway. Ed works for Federal Highway. I can't put this kind of stuff on the Federal Highway webpage.
Normal enter.
Cambridge
What we'll do is,
Systematics,
we'll
Leon could put it on an FTP site on Cambridge Systematics.
Right. We have a CTPP folder in the Cambridge Systematics FTP site. Sometimes if there's some useful information or documents, I always save the documents and the materials in the CSFTP site. I can send a link to the CDPP list server later on saying this access file is available there. Is that fine with you, Eric?
Yeah, I just want to make sure you get the latest version.
Yeah, I will download from the shared pod.
Well, and Manny, this is Ed. What we'll do is, because we're recording this webinar, and we'll put this on the AASHTO CTPP website with all our other recorded webinars. And when we do that, we also include all the files separately so that you can download them. I'm sure we'll put this file out where it'll be findable.
Which I've
Great.
Okay, so what else was I just going to say about that? Oh, yeah. So AASHTO has a CTPP web page, and Ed said we have the recorded webinars there. And I did just get an email from Penelope yesterday that says that the recorded webinars have been migrated as YouTube. Oh. And I have not gone there to check it out. So, and Ed has been helping me with the recorded webinars to get them saved and posted on the AASHTO page. And I don't know how to do that. So see, it's really good that we have technically competent people to help me. Okay, any other questions for Mara or Eric or anybody else? Your phone line is open, but if you're on VoIP, I guess you can't ask your question on the telephone.
No, and I was going to say on these webinars that we do and we record, when they go up on the AASHTO website or when they go to YouTube,
Yeah, me too.
they're basically just a screen recording. Sometimes we'll be able to distribute the links that got weird numbers and codes at the end of them. The URLs look real funny. Those sit in their native environment, and all the files are download pod and everything stays live. The issue with those is we don't know how long they stay up on the Federal Highway servers that we're using. They tell us 30 days, but they've been keeping stuff up for months and months and months.
Okay, everybody, so I hope everyone was able to download the files from the pod, and really should take a look at the one from the California State Data Center. And that just has a way to just cut and paste and stick them in your browser. But I really like Eric's Access database program. The other thing is we did get a question about the Census Bureau's data access through API, and we were asked if we were going to talk about that today, and no, we didn't, but we will try to get that organized and have that in the next month or so. And if you have been doing something or somebody on your staff has been doing something with the API, please contact me, and so we can make sure that you can share your expertise and ideas with the CTPP community. So I guess we'll end now, and thank you so much to Mara and Eric for helping our CTPP data community. It's really great to have so much sharing and not rely on Ed or me for information. Okay, thank you so much, everybody.
Bye, Elaine.
Bye.